Hey guys, it's your host, Bailey Cartwright. Welcome to the Stronger Scars podcast, where I invite others to dive deep into the ups and downs of physical and mental scars. Hi, everybody. Welcome back to the Stronger Scars podcast. It has been quite a while since I recorded. I was getting ready to record today, and I was nervous because I don't know, it's just been a while and I missed it. I miss getting to talk to people and just hear all about their stories. So I'm so excited to be back with you guys. Happy 2023. I cannot believe time flies, but this is my 5th year starting doing Stronger Scars, and I'm just so grateful and thankful for everything that you guys have just allowed me to do and be a part of. Just honestly, the amount of people I've met and the incredible stories that I've heard and lifelong friends that I've made from this, I'm just really, really grateful. So yeah, I hope everyone had a happy and healthy new year and a happy Christmas. Merry Christmas. It's been a while. I think my last episode was right after Thanksgiving, and then I decided to just kind of take some time, go be home with family for the holidays, and finish up my first semester of grad school. So lots been going on, but we're back with the new season and hopefully more fun announcements and things going on in the future. So yeah, let's start with some life updates, because I think one of the best ways that I can kind of help people is just by sharing my experience with things. And I hope that as I'm learning things and things happen in my life, I share them with other people, and they can also maybe take that into account when they're making decisions for their experiences or whatever it may be. So I am not playing next year. It was kind of up in the air going into the season if I had extra eligibility, if I wanted to use the eligibility, just kind of where my head was at. And I was just going on a depends how things go basis. And things didn't go exactly as I wanted them to go, which I'll explain a little bit about later. But I'm not playing next year, which means the eligibility kind of has been a whole different fiasco. I've heard that I probably am not going to get the eligibility, which, guys, I'm baffled by. I quite literally don't understand. I did not play a full season during my time at Notre Dame. I was hurt freshman year from before the first game. My sophomore year, I played in 3 games, and then I was hurt literally the rest of my time there. So it's quite crazy that I would not have any eligibility left, but that's kind of how it's seeming. But I kind of made this decision to not play before knowing if I did have eligibility or not. It was really important for me to make a decision on my own terms. I've talked about this before on the podcast, just the power that an injury takes away from you to make a decision. And I was in a position finally to make a decision that my injury wasn't a part of. And that was a really, really good feeling. I went out being healthy, which was always a goal of mine. Going into playing the 5th year, I literally had no idea how my body was going to hold up. I didn't know how doing practices normally and fitness, all of it was going to kind of affect my body. I just had I went into it with an expectation of probably not making it through. I'm being honest, that's something I'd never admitted out loud. But I just didn't think my legs were going to be able to handle it, but they did. And I did get to play the entire season. We didn't make the tournament. It wasn't, honestly, it was a rough year for a few reasons. I think one of the things I've tried to highlight on the podcast a few times is transfer and how difficult that it can be for the person going through the transfer. Obviously, it's a bit different of a situation because I was a 5th year player, not just in the smack dead middle of my college career. And I just felt like I didn't fit in on the team. And I don't know, I think I held myself to a really high standard because since I was healthy and playing soccer, I wanted to be exactly as I was when I was healthy playing soccer back in high school. And that just isn't a reality of where I'm at in my life now. But yeah, being the 5th year newbie is not easy. I know I've talked about this before, coming from a D1 school, going to a D3 school. It wasn't an easy transition. And, I think I did have a bit easier. Like, I wasn't the star at Notre Dame. So obviously, I think that was a bit easier. And my injury gave me, like, as you guys know, the biggest, newest perspective ever. And I do think that there were some people who I really got to share that perspective with, and hopefully left an impact on them. But yeah, I'm really happy I did the 5th year. I don't want it to seem like I'm regretting my decisions and it was all bad. It wasn't all bad. I made some really good friends, and I really enjoyed the coaching staff and just getting to play soccer healthy, getting to have fun playing soccer. Um, I would say not putting pressure on myself playing soccer, but I always put pressure on myself. And yeah, at the end of the day, like I said earlier, like, I ended healthy and I walked away from soccer on my own terms. And that's something that not everyone gets to do. And at first, I didn't get to do. For ending college at Notre Dame, like, I thought that was it. I thought my injury made the decision for me. And that's when the opportunity arose to get to finish on my own terms. That's why it was so important to me. And, I constantly, I know there's a quote, I think it's by like Mia Hamm or Hope Solo, I don't know, about like playing for the little girl who used to love soccer, who used to just spend hours playing and loved it. She, the little girl who fell in love with soccer. And I go back to that often, and I just remind myself that, take opportunities while you have them, because then eligibility runs out or you get hurt, or, the clock's just up. And you want to be able to look back at your younger self and just make her proud, make her happy for all that you've done for her, and just kind of enjoy the things that you used to enjoy doing. So it was really important for me to finish what I started. And also, you guys, the people who are hurt and don't get to end things on their terms, don't get the opportunity to finish what they started how they would like. I played for you guys because I was one of you. I still am one of you. And I just think it's really important to know you're not alone, and to know that, like, even if an injury takes something so important away from you, you can find other ways to just like be authentic in yourself. Um, you need to take lessons out of it, of dealing with adversity, fighting it, and beating it. So I played for you guys. I played for the little girl who loves soccer. And, I obviously played for everyone who supported me through my really low moments. And yeah, all in all, I am really happy for what the past year has brought me. And I strongly recommend anyone who may have the opportunity, if you're somebody who's been through countless injuries or any injury, and you have an opportunity to get out and play the sport you love one more time, do it. You won't regret it. I promise you. There may be days where you don't want to go to practice or your body hurts, but just do it. And I think you'll be really proud of yourself. So now that I'm done, officially done playing soccer, I know last year, well, it would have been like 2 years ago, I made an episode talking about like goodbye soccer. And I was like kind of handling it okay, but not really. I think I've noticed myself recently just kind of bottling things up, which is, if you know me, very rare. I usually like my emotions are out there for the world to see. But lately I've noticed that I have been keeping things to myself, and I don't recommend that. It's not a healthy way to like feel things, but that's just kind of the way I'm operating at the moment. And I, when I was going through the first time I thought I was done playing, I handled it fine. Like, I had a lot of support system. And again, like, I had about a year and a half where I wasn't playing. I knew I probably wasn't going to play, that I was like building up to the climax of like soccer being over. And I think this time feels a little bit different because I was given a little bit of a glimpse of playing soccer again, feeling like I'm making an impact, being a part of a team, and then it's kind of gone. Which again, like, I don't regret my decision to not play next year or to try to play next year, depending on the eligibility. But it's gone. Like, it's officially gone. Soccer is done. And I'm not handling it the greatest. I think it just, you know, I think as humans, we believe in ourselves. Like, I think, obviously we go through things and there's times where we may have self doubt and we may not have all the confidence in the world. But I truly do think that deep down, we all believe in ourselves. And I really believed in myself to, like, I don't know, make this huge comeback, make this huge difference in the world of soccer. And when I realized that it's finally over and I'm not completely satisfied with like the soccer impact, the stats, the accolades, the championships, not super satisfied with that impact I left behind with soccer, I got sad and I kind of just, like I said earlier, bottled it up because I believed in myself and I believed that like things were going to be different. And then I remind myself that, you know, things took a turn 4 or 5 years ago, whenever that was, when I got hurt for the first time. And I didn't give up. I did believe in myself because I didn't give up. And I truly, from the bottom of my heart, like, if you listen to this podcast, you ever take one thing away from me, just like, I have grown up in a family where we are very cheesy, hardcore believers. Like, it's the climb, like, you put your head down and you believe in something, it will happen. And that was the mentality I grew up in. So, like, I want you guys to, you know, take away from this podcast that, like, if you believe in something, you work hard towards it, it can happen. Like, there's nothing that's too big to happen. And that was the mentality I've always had, and I still have. But the injury has kind of made that into a different way. It's not soccer. It's not soccer being the best player ever and being professional and going and playing on the national team anymore. It's being a good person, dealing with adversity, helping other people, leaving a positive impact to people who don't have the best experience with their sport. So the ultimate goal of leaving an impact behind will never change. Like, I will always want to leave a lasting impression, but I just think that the purpose of it has changed a little bit. And I'm okay with that. Like, it's taken a lot of time to like come to peace with how my soccer career went. And although, like, I don't know if I'll ever be completely okay with where I'm at or completely okay with like getting hurt and not getting to play, having to sit on the sidelines every practice, every game. Like, I don't know if I'll ever be 100% okay with that. But who would be? Like, well, I feel like that's very a valid feeling to have. And the lessons I learned and the lessons that I hope I'm teaching and helping other people learn, I think outweigh those negative feelings of the legacy, for lack of better terms, that I'm leaving behind. Um, but I think, like, I just want to highlight again, what I said earlier about bottling up my feelings with soccer being done. I'm at the age now where obviously all of my friends are also most of my friends are done playing sports and like it's time for the real world. And I think we hear a lot of times about athletes going through an identity crisis when they're done playing their sport. And I don't think there's one answer for every person that just fixes all the problems of like struggling with being done playing a game that you played literally your entire life. And I do think time is the best medicine, but I also think that one of the best ways to get through it is just to do things that you can to still be around it. Um, me and Nick started watching Ted Lasso. It's a show about soccer, and it's just like, honestly, if you haven't watched it, it's one of the best shows I've ever watched. And like, there will just be like a funny scene about like soccer or whatever, and I'm sitting on the couch crying because I'm just like remembering the times that I had playing. And I think it just makes you, when something's all said and done, it just makes you really appreciative for the experience you had. And I think part of why athletes feel such an identity crisis is just because well, one, obviously, like, we love what we do. That's why we do it. But two is just like change isn't easy. No one likes to go through change. And, once you get into the routine of things and you feel comfortable doing something and you feel like you're good at it and it all just kind of makes sense, you don't want to get out of that routine. You don't want to get out of your comfort zone. And for me, and I'm sure a lot of you other players who are going through an identity crisis, staying in that comfort zone, like, or getting out of that comfort zone isn't easy. It's quite terrifying. And, I know now I have to fill my time with doing other things and I have to move on with my life. And it's not easy because, you just want to be the 15-year-old girl going, to school and then to practice. And then you go home and your parents make you dinner. Like, you want it to be what you're used to and what you're comfortable to. And the second that that's taken away from you, of course it's hard. Of course it feels like a void and it feels like a loss because it is. It's something that's really hard. And I don't know how long the process of me, finding myself again, for lack of better terms, and going through this identity crisis would take, but I'm staying around the game of soccer and trying to coach and, just watching soccer. That was something I didn't ever really do growing up. I didn't really do much growing up because I don't know, I just wanted to play. I didn't really care about watching it. But now that's something that I am really enjoying doing is just watching soccer. And yeah, I think time, like I said, is the best way to kind of get through that. And that's just kind of what I'm banking on working. So if you guys have any other suggestions, like how to, deal with the identity crisis after you retire, let me know. Always down to hear new suggestions. I just, I feel like some people, like in my close circle, might be surprised to hear that I'm kind of struggling with it because, like I said, I just honestly been acting like it's not like nothing's happened. Um, but it's really hard. So you're not alone. If you're going through that, you're not alone. Like, please know you're not alone. And that's if it's because of an injury or not. Like, so many athletes are going through losing the game that they love. So I wanted to just kind of talk about like some of the lessons that soccer as a whole has taught me and obviously most specifically what my injury taught me. If you guys are new here, I played soccer at the University of Notre Dame, and my freshman year I was diagnosed with chronic exertional compartment syndrome, and I ended up having 4 surgeries between my 4 years there, and didn't obviously get to really play much during that time, and just really changed my perspective on a lot of things, soccer wise, life wise, relationship wise, literally everything. And I've learned a lot. I've been doing the podcast, like I said earlier, for 4 years now, and other people's stories have also taught me so many things. And I just feel like I feel like, you know, I love to feel, not that misery loves company, but it's really nice to know you're not alone. When you're upset about something, there's probably somebody else out there in the world upset about something very similar. And I think the more that we can embrace the struggle together, the easier it is to get through it. So okay, I wrote down some notes. But I'm sure I'm forgetting a lot of things because again, when I say I've learned a lot, I've learned a lot. So the first one is kind of an interesting one, but I've learned that it is okay to play for somebody else. And what I mean by that is I feel like a lot of times, especially in college, I've heard a lot of people say to me like, if you don't love soccer, then you shouldn't be here. If you don't really want it just for you, then you shouldn't be pleasing anyone else. And I agree. I think it's important to do things for yourself, first and foremost. But there were days where I didn't love soccer. I didn't want to get out of bed and go to practice. I just didn't like it at the time. And I reminded myself that I'm playing for something a lot bigger than myself. And I wanted to bring this up just because I think especially my injury kind of opened my eyes to how much you really do need your loved ones and the people who support you. And I never kind of got that out of my head of like, you know what, like I am playing for other people. I'm playing for my mom. I'm playing for my dad. Like if you guys have listened to the podcast before, you know how much soccer means to him. You know how much my relationship with him means to me and my mom too, but just like my dad and a connection with soccer. That was something I played for. That was something that got me out of bed a lot of times because I didn't want to go to practice. I wanted to quit. I wanted to just tap out. And if it wasn't for those moments, I would have quit. And then I would have been disappointed in myself. So I think, really lean in on that. If you're somebody who's struggling and you're in a rut and you're just like not loving what you're doing, I think, I don't know, I'm built on a different mentality of like never give up. And I do think that there are time and places to quit doing something. But if you are just kind of struggling and you need a reminder, pick somebody who you're fighting for, somebody you're playing for. If someone's going through something hard in their life and they can't go out and play and they can't do the thing that they love, play for them. Like, I think it's so important to make it something bigger than yourself. I don't know. That just kind of was something that I learned throughout college was I heard so many times people say like, I'm not having fun. I don't want to be here. So I'm done. And to me, it was a lot more complex than that. And I don't know, I just obviously, like, if you completely hate doing something, don't do it, but if it's something you'll be upset with yourself in the long run for not finishing, and you need somebody or something to play for, figure out what that is and really, like, keen in on that. Okay, the next thing is to don't overcomplicate things. I'm a worrywart. I stress about everything, and when I would have to go to like a new summer league or the first day of practices or, new people come to the team, I would just overcomplicate everything. So my advice would be to not complicate things. The sport you play, soccer, basketball, baseball, the sport doesn't change. The rules are the same. The number of teammates are the same. So just remember that. Go out and play and do what you know how to do to the best of your ability. I think like that is kind of where the joy was sucked out for me is I just like I got so nervous and so caught up in the things and I overcomplicated it that I never got to actually just like breathe and remember like, hey, I've been doing this my whole life. Like I'm here for a reason. And then I just kind of like literally slipped right from underneath me and it was gone. So, this is, I guess, more for like new people going into college, but don't overcomplicate it. Like you're there for a reason. You are good at what you do. You love what you do, and just play the game. Just play the game. And bumps in the road will pop up. You might not be as good as you thought. You might not get on the travel roster. You might get hurt. But regardless of those things, just like take them day by day. Don't overcomplicate things, and try to make the best out of anything that comes your way. For those of you again who know me or have listened to the podcast, I am a big advocate for asking, why are you doing something? What's the why behind your reason for being here? What's the why? What is the why that gets you out of bed in the morning? And I really wish that, while I was in these moments of like playing and just being a college athlete, I would have stopped and reflected and asked myself that question a little bit more. I ask myself it now all the time. And I reflect now all the time, but I can't go back and change things and I can't go back and have more time. So, if you're someone who's living in it, reflect, see, what are the things that make you happy? What's making your time enjoyable? What's not making your time enjoyable? What's making me unhappy? And, put more of the joy and less of the sadness. And I think, every few weeks you reflect again and kind of make those little changes. And I just think that's really important. And doing it while you're in the moment and you can make those changes is really important because, of course, now I can reflect and I think it's healthy to reflect, but I can't do anything about it. I can just kind of take what happened and learn from it now for the future, but it is what it is. Um, so I know I mentioned earlier about Ted Lasso, and there's a quote from the show that really stood out for me because I love my quotes. And okay, this is the quote. It's the hope that kills you. And basically, like, if you guys don't know, Ted Lasso is like this optimist. He's an old football coach who's now going to be a soccer coach in the Premier League, and his team isn't doing well. They need to win a big game, and everyone like thinks they're definitely going to lose the game. So everyone's motto is it's the hope that kills you because Ted has hope. And I don't know, that just stood with me because, well, for one, it was just it's a great scene. You gotta watch it. But for two, I think this is a mentality a lot of people have. And again, mentioning what I did earlier, like, I don't have that mentality. I'm a very big dreamer, like to shoot for the stars. And I just, any time I have to like enlighten people about like never giving up, achieving their dreams, like literally whatever it takes, I want to do that because the mentality of like it's your hope that kills you just kind of sucks. It sucks, everyone. And yeah, I just think that there's nothing that can't be achieved. Like, whatever way you want to take that. But I think like applying this to injury way, like if you get hurt, you have to keep the hope. You really do. A serious injury, an injury you're going to be out for a lot of time. Like if you lose the hope, that is what will kill you. Because if you're not willing to like believe in yourself, believe in the process, believe in what you're capable of, you can't expect anybody else to do it for you. You can't expect anyone else to have the hope. So, yeah, hope is the best thing ever. So don't lose the hope. Keep believing in yourself. And yeah, I just want to share that quote with you guys because I was quite intrigued by it. Okay, so the next one is a bit of a Debbie Downer, but I'm gonna elaborate. In my experience, and I think a lot of people's experiences, after going through a serious injury, however many surgeries, however many injuries, your body just isn't quite the same. And I know that's kind of like a negative Nelly thing to say, but it's the reality. And that's an, and I think that's just something that we adapt to and we figure out how to, make an impact in other ways. So I do think that there are players out there who get hurt and can, snap of a finger back to exactly how they were before. But I think the vast majority of us, our bodies change. We can't run the same. We don't have the exact same speed. And I don't mean this to be like, you're never gonna be the same player, like you're gonna suck. No, I just mean like you're gonna notice things, after the fact. You're gonna notice that maybe your footing's off or, you're half a second slower. And I think just like really being okay with that and being able to grow from that is really important because look, like injuries happen to people who don't ask for it. Like I get it. I was there. And I was never the same player again. And that's a hard reality, but I figured out other ways to still make an impact on the field. But, I think that it's a really cool opportunity to watch yourself grow and, it gives you a goal to work towards too is like what you were at, you can work towards trying to get back there. And even though it might not be the exact same, like you can figure out ways to still like make an impact and do what you can. And again, like it's like a negative thing to say, but it's not because like I always say, like people are handed tough things in their life who God knows can handle. And if you're going through an injury, changing it into that perspective is really, 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 really hard. But once you can kind of get there and start leaning into that and believing that these challenges happen to you for a reason, things like not being the exact same player you were before are going to seem very minuscule. And I just think that, it'll kind of be one of those things that, you adapt to, just like you did adapt to your injury. I think one more thing that I think is really important is to not give up on your relationships. And what I mean by this is just like my injury isolated me because I let it, but it isolated me. I really feel like I pushed away the people in my life who mattered the most. And I've since mended those relationships, but I feel like I missed out on time with people because I was being stubborn and I was jealous and I was in a place of just like hatred and disappointment. And I would just, I would tell anyone going through like a tough time, obviously relating to injury, but instead of pushing those people away, just hold them a little tighter and thank them and just really embrace all of the help and love that they can give you through your hard times, because you may push away somebody who could have really helped you, get through that hard time, or somebody who could have ended up being a bridesmaid in your wedding. Like, you just don't ever really know. And I always say this, but it's literally costs $0 to be a nice human. And when we're going through hard times, sometimes we push that onto other people in a rude way. And I would just, I tell you guys to use your injury as a time to really just, like I said, hold people a little bit tighter. And I think that's all I have. Honestly, I could probably go on for hours about everything I've learned, but I wanted to keep this episode a little short and sweet and give you guys a little life update. I'm so excited for the guests that I know I'm having on this season. And just like I said, like, no story is too big, no story is too small. Like, we are all going through crap. Like, I get it. We all got our crap going on. And I just, am trying to play my role in making a difference and helping people get through their crap. So, thank you, everybody.